This is Scotty Reed, host of Black Talk Radio News, which comes on Tuesday nights on the Black Talk Radio Network. I'm also the station manager of the Black Talk Radio Network. And of course, remember, Black radio stations matter. Make your donation today to blacktalkmediaproject.org. Now, I want to comment on Jim Brown. Now, I see people giving respect to Jim Brown in terms of his activism with gangs and whatnot. Maybe we need to send him to Chicago. Maybe he can tell us what's going on in Chicago and why there's so much gun violence reportedly in Chicago. We got Barack Obama on the ground. Sometimes, you know, when he's not traveling all over the world, but we don't seem to know what's going on in Chicago. So since people say that it's kind of gang related, maybe we could send Jim Brown to Chicago to try to work this out, especially if it's within the black community and these are black gangs. We do got to follow in the footsteps of the Panthers and show these brothers how the system is set up to kill them and get them to kill each other and to get them to sell drugs. Now, I don't criticize anybody for what they do in their hustle, because the system is set up to put people in a position where they have to make those choices. We don't have a guaranteed income. There's no guaranteed food, no guaranteed housing. So the system is set up to create slaves in this system of slavery by the way of the 13th Amendment. But getting back to Jim Brown got some comments on Colin Kaepernick that I found to be way out of line, that he would have served this situation better, or what Colin, he could have added conversation better by not saying anything at all based off of what did come out of his mouth. So everybody know that Colin Kaepernick took a knee last year. He says he's done with that. I take him at his word. Not that I had anything against him protesting a slaver's flag and pointing out that the national anthem was written by a slaver, mocking the deaths of true freedom fighters, those enslaved Africans who got free. And so Colin Kaepernick has been raising awareness about certain elements of modern day slavery and human trafficking by way of the 13th Amendment. The police are nothing but slave catchers. And so he's been raising awareness about that and saying that, you know, that flag doesn't represent what y'all been telling me all my life that it's supposed to represent. It seems like some people have rights, or their life matters more than other people. And he's exactly right. The statistics show it. And, you know, Jim Brown want to talk about being an American and that's his flag and don't disrespect this flag. Again, I bet you the social media record will show that I'm one of the first ones to put out their hashtag vets for Kaepernick. You know why? Because I am a Gulf War veteran, Jim Brown, and I don't remember him serving in the military, and I don't put a whole lot of weight into my military service. In fact, I denounce it as I now look back on that young period in my life and saw my role as a oppressor, a global oppressor, as a foot soldier, as not Richard Nixon, but a former Secretary of State. He might have been under Nixon. His name escapes me, but the quote is, they look at us like dogs. They look at military like dogs, pawns in a war. And so I can't remember the man's name who said that, but it is true. And reading Malcolm X's biography during the Gulf War, based in Saudi Arabia, that woke me up to how I was allowing myself to be used, but I was put in that position of not wanting to go into debt, no college, you know, without going into college debt. No free community college, no nothing, so I could pursue my higher education. And so, like, my sister took that route, one of my sisters took that route, I took the route of the United States military. And, you know, I wish I had not been placed in that position by this government, which I call USA Inc., because it was incorporated in 1871. So, but in terms of Jim Brown trying to use nationalistic rhetoric, I mean, you're too old, sir, to be still allowing yourself to be brainwashed by flags and symbols. I mean, I know those things are important, but how can you deny that the issues, that there is an issue with the issues that Colin Kaepernick is raising? And I do recall, if my memory serves me correctly, from seeing pictures on the internet of you at a press conference with other black athletes supporting Muhammad Ali, deciding not to participate in the Vietnam draft. And you supported him. And I'm wondering if there's any footage of any old black men, elders to you during that young period of your life, saying, oh, Jim Brown shouldn't have been at that press conference, and Muhammad Ali's a traitor. He should go die for his country like a good Negro or something. I wonder if I don't think they had many, or at all during the 60s, any black network host, you know, like your Walter Cronkites and your other hosts on NBC, ABC. You know, you had the big three networks back then. No black anchors coming on, no Don Lemons coming on. No, none of that. Definitely no Anderson Coopers, you know, with him being openly gay. So, you know, he should just slow his roll and be quiet. When people ask him, ask him about Colin Kaepernick, I don't see how he can call that a distraction. I mean, when Jim Brown was actually playing in the NFL in the 60s and running over those white boys, I don't even think they played the national anthem. The national anthem only came into the NFL pregame once the U.S. military, the Pentagon, paid them to stage that whole affair. So, you know, it's all about mind control. And then with the jet flyovers and all that, those billionaires were being paid for that. And so when that came out, they only recently stopped taking the money for that. So it's not like they came at it. They started it, the owners that is, and no, they had to be paid to do it. They didn't start that militaristic, nationalistic, which is a military recruiting tool. Because they marched the little people out with the flags and everybody, you know, we shouldn't have to do that. And if you want to do that, that's on you. That's your conscious decision to participate in that ritual. But at the same time, you telling me that that flag represents the U.S. Constitution, freedom and liberty, then why you popping off at the mouth because somebody uses their freedom and liberty to take a knee, to sit down, to not participate in such a ritual, which promotes mind control. But again, I'm not trying to say anything negative against anybody. If you're in the U.S. military, you signed up for that, you volunteered, they didn't draft you, so keep saluting the flag like I did for 6 years. Don't get yourself in no trouble that way. But in terms of civilians, I'm a civilian now. Jim Brown's a civilian, and Colin Kaepernick's a civilian. And he should exercise his rights, his human rights first and foremost, but his constitutional rights as well. And anybody that speaks out against him or would prevent him from having opportunities, economic opportunities because of that, you are anti-American. You are the one that should examine himself. All right, so this has been Scotty Reed. Again, I host Black Talk Radio News. Also, New Abolitionist Radio every Wednesday night, but also Black Talk Media Project. I'm the manager of blacktalkradionetwork.com. Check us out. So, Jim Brown, sit down. Take a seat.